interesting, and at the same time educational and inspirational and so motivational. This is great. Oh, hey, what's up, y'all? You know what I was just listening to? I was listening to a podcast, but not just any podcast. I was listening to our podcast, which is called We Are the SHT. And I'm here to tell you how to access our podcast. Now, if you're not familiar with what a podcast is a digital audio file available for download from the internet. And typically you're going to subscribe to a podcast through a podcast player, which means that you'll get notifications of update episodes as they come out with new episodes, and those episodes will show up in your podcast feed. You can also go back and listen to previous episodes if you want. Now, the reason this might be beneficial is if you have a day that's like my day, which is kind of crazy and chaotic, and yet you're still trying to squeeze in some learning or some motivation or some inspiration. I don't really have much time to sit down and read a book, but I do have time to listen to something as I'm on a walk or as I'm driving or as I'm doing something else that might be considered somewhat mindless. So my favorite times to access podcasts and listen to podcasts is going to be on my morning and evening walks, on my drive times, and then also while I'm at home in the evening cooking or cleaning, instead of cutting on the TV, which I never cut on the TV, but I'm just picturing other people listening to this instead of cutting on the TV. So we're excited about our podcast because the point of our podcast is to support the people that we've worked with. One of our goals from the very beginning has been to give our people a lifetime of support, and we're always trying to think of creative ways to do that while at the same time trying to build our business. And we feel like a podcast is a great way to do it because what we want to do with this podcast is review crucial concepts. We want to inspire you and motivate you and re-engage you. We want to keep you up to date on all the different experiments that we're experimenting with ourselves, and also up to date with holistic health practitioners that are thought leaders in their realm and what's new in the holistic health realm. And then also be a place that you can come back if you've fallen off track for some reason and you need to get back on track. All right, so what I'd like to do today is show you how to access our podcast through a lot of different methods and give you our preferential ways to access our podcast. So I'm going to switch over to my computer and my phone and show you how to do that. All right, awesome. So let's start with a computer. I'm on a Mac, and one way to consume our podcast would be to go directly to our website at paulctarina.com. And then we have up here podcast, and we click on podcast. We have every episode broken out as a blog post in reverse chronological order. So the newest is at the top, and what we like about the blog post is that when you click on the blog post, we have a video that we shoot for just about every podcast, and you can see us interacting with each other or whoever we might be interviewing. And then below that video, we have an MP3 player that you can download the MP3 or listen directly in your browser. And then we also have links to Apple Podcast and Stitcher, and those would be links directly to our podcast. And then below that, we'll have notes on the podcast episode and any mentions or any links referenced. All right. So that would be a great resource. Another way to access it would be through our YouTube channel. So you can search for Superhuman Transformation, SHT, or Paul C. Tarina, and then go to playlists. And then we have the We Are the SHT podcast playlist listed right here and all the various episodes. Right. Another great way to access it would be through our favorite podcast player, which is Stitcher. If you go to Stitcher.com, we have an initial advertising page, but if I come over here to listen, I can listen directly in my browser. You can see up here it turns to app.stitcher.com, which means this is identical to what I'd see on my phone, and I can always search for any podcast that I want to listen to. And there we are. We have the various episodes. We can listen directly in the browser. We can also save episodes and subscribe. Another great way to access this information is if you're already a Spotify subscriber. We can go to Browse, we can go to Podcasts, we can search through various topics that they serve up to us. We have different categories, but if we want to find a specific podcast, we would just type in the name of the podcast. And then here we have the podcast. We can follow it. We get notified of updates, and we can also listen directly through Spotify. And then finally, since I'm on a Mac, I can go to iTunes and I can click on the podcast category here, and then they give me recommendations. I can come over here and search through various categories, but if I want to find a specific podcast, I can simply type that in the search bar up here, and then we pull up our podcast. We can subscribe or we can listen directly through iTunes. Now, if we come over to an iPhone, which is what I use, we can go into Apple Podcasts and we can do the same thing. We can search for a specific podcast. I personally don't like Apple Podcasts because it doesn't have a good search functionality, and I don't like the way they save episodes. So my favorite podcast player and the one I use every day is going to be Stitcher. And if I come into Stitcher, I can always come in here to search, and then I'd see they serve me up a bunch of different topics and categories, but then I can also type in our specific podcast that we are looking for. And then once I see that, I would subscribe by hitting this plus button, and then that means that I would get served any new episode updates through my feed, and I see all the different episodes here. When I'm in an episode, what's really cool is I can look at all the different episodes. As I'm playing the episode, I can actually change the speed of it. Where are we at here? So sometimes they do have advertisements that pop up, but if I want to fast forward, I have fast forward, rewind. I can change the speed that I play, and then I can also look at different episodes down here. All right, so some cool functionality with Stitcher. Now, if I come out to Spotify, I can do the same thing. I can go to search, and then in search I have podcasts. I can look at and browse through different categories, but then I can also look for a specific podcast, and then we see those different episodes here. And then once I follow, I'll get notified of their different updates. Also on a phone, I can go to YouTube and I can browse through the YouTube channel. So if we go to our channel at SuperHuman Transformation or Paul C. Torina, then I can also look at various playlists. And in that playlist, I should see our We Are the SHT podcast. All right. All right, so hope that was useful. We look forward to joining you on this audio and video experience, mainly audio for most of us out there. All right. As you gain value, as we put out more episodes, please feel free to leave a rating and review on whatever platform it is that you're listening to this information, because although we're putting this together for our people and to support our people in the SHT community, we do envision this reaching other people and helping us to empower the planet. If you have any questions or any topics that you would like covered in the podcast, please feel free to shoot them our way. We set up a specific email. It's podcast@wearethesht.com, and that will be in the notes associated with this video. And we're so excited for this, and we're excited for you to join us. And I think that's all we got for you today. All right. Thank you for tuning in.